evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is CrazyZaku, and I'm bringing you all the hits and misses here in Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Now, if you remember last time, we are officially accusing Miss Andrews of murdering Juan. We're trying to trap her in a corner, and we're talking about the guitar case. So, yeah, let's just let's figure things out. Let's see where we are. All right, gotta get into character here. Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Right, are you saying the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that?
That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she can make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea?
Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order, goddammit! Jesus! It looks like we've wanted to quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding in a costume.
Objection!
Oh, wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt and Guns. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places.
True. This is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai's costume doing inside the guitar case? Mr. Ungar did not take his costume off during break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one.
What?
Then, are you saying on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gateway Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose.
But why? The victim, Mr. Corda, was the German ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And there lies the sticking point.
Objection!
What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue?
Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. First of all, the reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spell costume to the hotel was... Take that! Gotta be this. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference.
Well, I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right?
First of all, fuck you, Edgeworth. But what struck me as strange was that Matt Ungard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was a setup. By none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Yes. The Spirit Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? Why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference.
Nickel Samurai was gonna confess something, and by confess, I'd wager he was gonna reveal something about himself.
Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was gonna speak about Matt Ungard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure.
Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
I just love that the bad Batman voice.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up, and the person who was prepared the second costume for him. That was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jam Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's why, well, that's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Ungard is, Miss Andrews? That's the only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off as quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Ungard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
Witness testimony!
From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I thought I had to protect him.
That's so bullshit.
This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type.
We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with his testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind in your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
It's like somehow everything is swung to the opposite end of the scale again.
That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Why would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. You want to prove that someone did something. You need three things.
Three things?
A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. So get it right. If you think these three things through, the answer becomes quite clear. should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school. At least, not from what I remember. May I continue now?
Hold it!
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene the victim had his murderer, that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the champion's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt Takuma, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Oh, thank goodness Mia can still look at me. Wow. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt.
Objection!
Bitch! Please. This is a victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that was ripped off the costume when?
After the knife was stabbed into the victim.
Exactly, which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ugh. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body. God damn it, I said, what is the meaning of this?
What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change?
Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? That's two questions for the price of one. Buy one, get one free, bitch!
What purpose?
We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean... Does it mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Ungard. There's no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. Giggity. That's right. Mr. Ungard was set up by the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Ungard is... Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Corridus Killer. What? said order. Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Ungard. Naturally, a knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what about the button that was found in Matsukama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Ungard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such an incriminating evidence in his own hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Ungard's hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the Indigata case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It can only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, I...
Objection!
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time.
That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Ungard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? Got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Ungard's room. Adrian Andrews. Yes. Think hard about what we just discussed. Think understood? All right. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. There's still one thing you haven't done. Thing I haven't done.
What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence?
What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor, but everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless.
What?
Everything you've proven is circumstantial.
Circumstantial? Circumstantial, my dick?
Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corda.
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corda? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. Nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again! Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we've reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing the court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and that tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then...
Hold it!
Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial.
What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he?
That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let's the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Objection!
It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you...
It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of the conversation were something unrelated to whether she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that is very true, but...
Actually, there was one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and...
I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up and not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions. I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Bitch! Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't know what it's about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. Surprised when I walked in the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner.
When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial.
Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with his testimony, there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Objection!
So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him?
No, not at all.
Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corrida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man.
Well, you see...
I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who's fainted, and then nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Yeah, your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer.
No!
It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard, is not guilty after all.
That's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan.
But you were the only one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so is that was so that you might end up incriminating yourself.
That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
Then there's no reason for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Ungard's innocence has clearly been demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdicts for Mr. Matt Ungard.
Objection!
Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time.
What?
The reason is quite simple. You's a bitch. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth.
She's lying.
The absolute real truth? What are you...
Witness, don't you understand yet?
Huh?
I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through silence, Matt Ungard will go free, and in his place, you become the guilty party.
That's a lie. I don't believe you.
What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over and I would never be declared guilty.
What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it?
I can't speak about it. I'm too scared.
It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Ungard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty, and that's my only priority.
It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone. Help me. Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and not what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else who could be except the one crying over there, right?
Come now. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Wright?
I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure, Mr. Ungard would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end?
Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is true. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However...
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop! Mr. Edgeworth?
This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past.
Stop. Please, stop.
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here.
That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report.
What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of this pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews.
The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world.
Please stop. I beg you. People find out. I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, then that is of no concern to me.
Edgeworth, how can you be so cold?
However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court about yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me.
I'll talk. But please, help me.
Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the body. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using Nickel Samurai costume.
Stab the body with the knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? Pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this?
It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth.
The real killer is Matt, that scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He tried to escape his guilt again, just like the last time. Last time?
So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corda, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with the murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Ungard for the murder. And this is her crime.
What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination, you dumb bastard.
Hold it!
But you could tell from the state of the room, from the state the room was in, there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say you did not know he was dead?
He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is part of the Jam Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought he'd wake up. Well, I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice.
Hold it!
What is this plan you had?
I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forget some evidence. I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife.
Hold it!
That was so you could get the knife, correct?
The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. Thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. I'm still sorry.
I forgot to press it. So you were the one to stab the victim with that knife?
It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect.
So you thought to rip off one of the buttons, and then plant it in Mr. Ungar's carbon?
Yes, that's what I planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they?
Hold it!
An inconvenience.
There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway.
I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta.
There's also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth.
That's Miss Oldbag for you.
I'd already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I could very well go out looking like myself and get caught again.
Hold it!
who prepared the costume, weren't you? Yes. I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes. Juan wanted to wear the costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's biggest secret there. And what is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've had enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Ungod's room and planted the button. In the Matsukama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into the bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word. What does all this mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Ungard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. But if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as the testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Well, wait, Your Honor. The defense still...
Objection!
Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. Cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. Couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But, Mr. Edgeworth, please place Ms. Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Well, fuck. Today's trial. It's over. I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I ask you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave the court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card, if you ask me. As far as a clue to this case, I don't see why. Witness, that card, give it to me, hurry! Edgeworth, do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This, I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card, what in the world is it?
What does it mean? Go ahead and call this an episode right here, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, this has been an emotional episode. Next time, we're going to find out what the card means. And I hope you guys will join me for that. Oh, I hope Maya is not in trouble. In the meantime, folks, my name is CrazyZaku. I brought you all the hits and misses here in Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Do you want to watch this episode live? Of course you do. You love watching things live. Best way to do that, though, you got to check out the Twitch channel every Saturday over at twitch.tv/TCWCrazyZaku every Saturday, 4 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check that out. My name is CrazyZaku. I brought you all the hits and misses here, and Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Please share this video with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your enemies, and everyone in between. Drop a DDT on that like button, cover for the 3. Smack that subscribe button like it owes you money. Tingle that bell wherever it happens to be to stay up to date with all of our adventures in and out of the courtroom. And I will see you guys later. Later.